The DNR is taking a closer look at bear populations in the Chippewa National Forest. They'll be using new tracking equipment when the project begins in the coming months for a type of study they haven't attempted since the 1990s. Jackson Bruner tells us more.
The DNR believes conditions in Chippewa National Forest have changed. It's become more dense, they say, and food sources for bears, such as berries, may have been affected.
They're completely driven by food. Their reproduction depends on how much food they eat. Their hibernation depends on how much food they eat. Their movements depend on where the food is available. Even potential sources of mortality, like how attracted they are to hunters' baits, depends on how much food there is.
The DNR says there are roughly 12 to 15,000 bears in Minnesota today. That number is considered rather low, and more information, which could eventually affect bear hunting rules in the state, is needed. So they'll collect data on these animals in depth for the first time in decades, using a sample size between Grand Rapids and Big Fork, and tracking them with GPS collars. The technology was developed in the last 10 years.
As the collars technology advanced, there was a way of transferring the GPS points that are in the collar to us as researchers via a satellite. This way we have track of the bear in almost real time.
The DNR also hopes to collar a bear in the Bemidji area for educational reasons. They need the public's help to locate a den within an hour's driving distance of the city limits so high school students can observe the bear tracking process in the spring.
Anytime you can take kids out of the classroom and go see a real life experience, that makes it 1,000 times more relevant than anything they're going to see on YouTube, read about in class, things that we'll discuss.
Van Wilgen Hammett's environmental studies class went to visit a bear den in March, thinking it had given birth to cubs. It hadn't.
She heard us coming and she got off and trotted off.
And with an expired collar built without GPS tracking, it could be impossible to find.
The likelihood is that the collar has already gone out and we would like to replace it with another bear. And so if somebody found a den, we could start off with that bear.
The DNR doesn't know what type of foods are in the Chippewa Forest now. As a result, they're unsure what ranges these bears are in and don't know enough about reproduction patterns and the size of today's bears. With new collars in place, decisions can be made about where to go next with bear population control.
We have this giant data set of hundreds of bears that we've handled, and so we can compare very quantitatively what it was in the mid-'80s to what it is now and see a change.
In Grand Rapids, Jackson Bruner, Lakeland News.
The DNR hopes to collar 15 bears in the Grand Rapids target area. With the information they gained from the study, the group hopes to help the bear population in Minnesota rise to about 20,000 total.
If you've enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland Public Television.